this is going to be the fastest growth of technology in all human history. It's going to be the largest change we will ever go through as a species in the shortest period of time. And people thought I was being dramatic. Then AI came and everyone's like, holy shit. And now the robots are coming and everyone's like, holy shit squared. And now everyone's trying to figure out what this means for society, how this all works, how to regulate it, what to do. But it's moving at lightning speed. By the time this video comes out, I don't know, maybe ChatGPT, I think the strawberry model, the large model comes out. That's coming out very soon. Again, that'll be another step change. We know there's more releases coming from Google, but really we're already hearing that OpenAI have probably trained ChatGPT 5 or ChatGPT Next, as it's called, which is a quantum leap yet again, as big as the leap from ChatGPT 1 to ChatGPT 4, when we're getting closer to something like artificial intelligence. And so this video is really about why you've got 6 years left to make as much money as possible before everything we kind of understand about economics, markets, business falls apart. And I can't see beyond that. So I call it the economic singularity. So I think we've got about 6 years for that. It's not a doom date, well, this date, it all happens. But it's beyond about 2030 when things are going to become not understandable by using the existing frameworks of economics, financial analysis, markets, and that kind of stuff. So what the fuck am I talking about here? I'm talking about the magic formula. The magic formula for GDP growth is driven... So sorry, I'm just going to go back, is most people look at AI, the rise of AI, and think of it, again, in societal terms. You know, what does it mean for humans, for jobs, and all of that? But I think there are more profound implications that come faster that we need to be aware of, and that's the economic singularity. So GDP growth in the magic formula is driven by population growth, productivity growth, and debt growth. So population growth in all of the developed world, including China, we've got falling, aging demographics. Many populations are now shrinking. The US, due to immigration, is just holding its head above water, but the rate of change of population is collapsing everywhere. So that means that the economic driver of population growth has disappeared. Now, we've seen that in GDP because GDP, trend rate of GDP has been falling and falling and falling, and it's gone from, in the US, from like 4% to 1.75%. And across the rest of the developed world, it's fallen even further, in most cases below 1%, matching population growth collapsing in those regions. The other side of the equation is productivity growth. Productivity growth is basically units of output per kilojoule of energy, or in other words, what you get out of your cost of electricity. So if electricity is the kind of the energy that makes the world go round, the economic energy, then we need to see what we get out of that energy. So technology has been the big driver of productivity, but the problem is as populations get older, they become less productive. So it's really been a battle, and technology has not won that battle for quite some time. Then we've had debt growth, and I've talked extensively about debt growth. Debt growth basically stops in 2008, and all debt growth is now is servicing of old debts. So that economic engine's disappeared. If you think about the Chinese economic miracle, that was a massive population of, at the time, I think it was 1.1 billion people back in the mid-90s. And what they did was come into the global labor force. The economy of China opened up. That's a massive GDP push. Productivity, well, they built the roads, the railways, the power plants, and all of the stuff that makes China what it is today. That was a productivity boost. And then they increased debt as well. So we had a huge economic boom in China, which we're now paying back with aging population because of the one-child policy. And we've also got a huge problem on the debt side. So how the hell do we solve this? You see, the everything code will just keep repeating ad infinitum, where we just have to keep debasing currency to try and offset the debt payments because GDP growth is not fast enough. So GDP is kind of the economic cash flow that pays for the debts. If GDP growth is low, interest rates need to be low, which is why the Fed are going to cut and all of those kind of things. But also, as GDP growth goes lower, debt growth keeps ballooning, and you have to keep refinancing all of this debt because there's not enough growth to grow your way out of the debt-based economy. But things started changing at the margin, and it really accelerated over COVID. Firstly, Amazon, I think, now employs more robots than it does humans. And this is a trend I've been pointing out for some time. Humans are cheaper replaced by robots that are more productive. They don't complain, they don't have unions, and over time, they're much, much cheaper. So the rise of the robots is just starting. We're seeing Tesla with its Optimus robot. We're seeing Figure. We're seeing Boston Dynamics. We're seeing a whole bunch of robotics companies. So humanoid robots really start to replace humans because they have dexterity. So they don't have to be for single tasks, much like machine learning was for single tasks and AI is much broader. We're going to see multitasking robots. So that starts helping bolster the lack of humans in the population. But the robots will take longer to scale. Physical hardware, you have to manufacture it, or you have to design it. We're still at early stage of this. So yes, we will see Tesla robots and others coming into, let's say, factories, but in our houses, it's probably 10, 15 years away, but it's coming. Now, the big lever here is AI. AI is basically infinite human knowledge. Now, why the magic formula works is because we've charged for and created an economic system around scarcity of labor and scarcity of knowledge. So as the labor scarcity got solved by the machine age and even the Industrial Revolution, we've seen a transition to service-based economies for humans. So that's where we have adapted and moved into places that don't require our manual labor as much. Sure, there's plenty of manual labor, but it's been moving over time. Now, the issue is knowledge, whether it's simply a person working in a retail store or whether it's a lawyer, surgeon, doctor, accountant, creative designer, brand marketing, anything will soon get replaced by AI. And mainly the models are good enough now to do a lot of that, but over the next 5 or 6 years, these models are going to accelerate. Now, what's interesting is right now, we kind of assume that these models have an IQ of around 100. So they're sort of average human intelligence. But I think that's a bad way of looking at it because it has an IQ of 100 in every topic known to humanity. So it's a polymath with an IQ of 100 in everything. Now, as these models scale and the breakthroughs come through, and they will come through in the next 12 months, 24 months, we will see the average IQ of AI go from 100 to 400 and then onto 1,000. And then some people can say onto 1,000,000 as this can compute. So 1,000,000 times the intelligence of a human is a system that we don't understand. And I don't want to go into the singularity about what that all means. It's the economic singularity that I think is the most important to all of us and our financial futures. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. You see, what we're doing is we're using the everything code to just keep paying the debts to stall the system until this kicks in. There are two economic centers of gravity where this is really being worked on hard. Firstly, the US and China is hyper-focused on the AI. He who controls the AGI controls the world. Now, I think we'll have multiple AGIs, and whether they intersect and combine, we don't know that future. And I'm not concerned about that now. That's a topic for another day. Really, what I'm thinking about is the massive knowledge that comes from that. It's infinite humans, right? Infinite humans. So knowledge has zero scarcity. So therefore, it's zero in value. Everything that gets digitized goes to zero in value, which is one of the reasons why blockchain is so important, because you can create digital scarcity. But knowledge is going to go to zero in value. It's going to be like water everywhere. What the fuck does that mean? Well, I'll come on to a bit on that in a sec. And when you scale robots as well, again, this is more infinite humans. On the other side of the equation is productivity. So we talked about productivity being based around output per unit of electricity, let's call it. Now, people look at what Europe's doing and their drive towards green energy and say, what a ridiculous waste of resources. They're pumping money into this. It's all going to be burned. What a waste of time. It's not. In fact, it's probably one of the most important things, and both China and Europe are leading this charge. And in fact, China's leading it overall. You see, using renewable energy creates two outcomes. Firstly, it massively lowers the cost of electricity. So renewable energy shows an exponentiality in the cost. So cost keeps collapsing each year. So it's down sort of 99% over the last 20 years, and it'll keep driving lower and lower and lower as we get more effective in harnessing the sun's energy. The sun's energy, this is a massive nuclear reactor in the sky that's basically free to use, and it'll get cheaper and cheaper to capture for all of us. Now, right now, people say, well, yeah, but it doesn't scale. Right now being the words. Scaling means battery technology. Scaling means decentralized grids, not centralized grids. You don't need centralized grids to run cities. You can use decentralized grids, in which case solar, geothermal, and others scale massively, because you just need smaller amounts in more places than a big amount in one place, which is where most people get this wrong.